Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the cost of the original contract was $365 million.
Thank you. Honorable Member, Mr. Figueroa.
Additionally, sir, can the Honorable Minister provide us with the reasons why this contract was terminated?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, for us to understand why the contract was terminated, we probably need to go back into the background of this contract. So in 2017, Mr. Speaker, the ministry head office was designed by an in-house team, and they did the drawings and they estimated that it would cost about $546 million. That's the engineer's estimate. A contract was signed with Chung Global on the 8th of November 2017 for $365 million. And they were given 12 months in which to complete this contract. And the contract started 14 days after the signing. On the 27th of November 2017, the contractor received an advance payment of $71.2 million, and that was 20% of the contract sum. Mr. Speaker, in 2018, from the Auditor General's report, on the 9th of April 2018, well, first of all, on the 9th of April 2018, that was when the Ministry of Health, or Ministry of Public Health as it was known at the time, decided to contract a supervisory firm to look over the construction of the ministry head office. That firm was VICAB. In 2018, 2 additional payments were made to Chung Global. The first one for $34.5 million, and the second one was for $48.8 million. But from the Auditor General's report, the Auditor General stated that little or no work was done by the end of December 2018. Mr. Speaker, in 2019, Mr. Speaker, in 2019, again from the Auditor General's report, he stated by the 29th of July 2019, 21 months after the signing of the contract, 21 months after the signing of the contract, only foundation work was completed and some work was started on the erection of a steel frame. And when they visited the site, there were 3 workers on the site. 3 workers were working. Mr. Speaker, VICAB, who was contracted to supervise this work, said there were numerous instances of substandard work. And they have many examples of substandard work. For example, on the 11th of February 2019, ground beams were found to be substandard. And these defects were pointed out. There were cubes that were collected, and when they were tested, they all failed. And the testing for these cubes were done at the University of Guyana and at the Ministry of Public Works at the time. All failed. And so they had to break out the works that were done there, and they had to do back a whole set of works, which added to the cost. Mr. Speaker, in 2020, on the 8th of September 2020, works remained incomplete And again, as per the Auditor General's report, when they visited at the time, there were 4 people who were working on the site. So they improved by 1. And this was 9 months after the project was scheduled to be completed. As such, the Auditor General recommended that liquidated damages should have been instituted, but there was no evidence that the ministry implemented any liquidated damages. At the end of 2019, the contractor received $304.5 million, or about 85% of the contract sum. And payments were made, Mr. Speaker, without valuation of 6 payment certificates, which total about $233.1 million. There was no valuation certificate, and works remain incomplete. Mr. Speaker, the incomplete works included rendering of the HCB walls, ceiling works, painting of the internal and external wall, electrical and AC units installation, installation of the lifts, tiling works, plumbing works, additional furnishing. So a lot of things were not done.
Let's ask what was done. The list might be short.
I think so, yeah. Mr. Speaker, the Auditor General then recommended in 2019 that the head of budget agency take immediate actions to activate the applicable stipulations of the contract, including termination of the contract and recovery of the sums paid. At that point, Mr. Speaker, for the works that had to be completed, an estimate was done, a bill of quantities was done for the remaining works. And it turned out that for the building to be completed, the contract had to be increased to about $870 million. And so, from the sums that were given of $304 million, the contractor wanted $513.3 million more to complete the works. In addition to all of this, Mr. Speaker, when we check the performance bond, this was expired 1 year prior, and therefore to levy against the contractor proved very difficult. Mr. Speaker, based on this history and all that I've just said, this contract was terminated on the 31st of October 2020, and we then put in motion the legal proceedings against the contractor and decided to go out to get a new contractor to finish the building.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mr.
Honorable Minister. Honorable
Mr.
Member,
Speaker,
Mr.
thank you very
Figueroa.
much for your very lengthy explanation. And with all of the observation identified in your explanation, can you inform us what are the new modifications to the very said contract, to the new contract, and how much is the actual cost of it?
Honorable Minister.
So, Mr. Speaker, based on the list of defects that were there, I just mentioned some of them: the ceiling, the windows, the lifts, the plumbing to be done, the external wall, internal wall. All of these works had to be done. And so we awarded a new contract, and that contract cost $436 million to complete the work. But, Mr. Speaker, one of the things that we are discovering as work is continuing on the building, is that the external wall of this facility is porous. In the last rains that we have, the building was leaking. Water was coming through the supposedly concrete walls. And not only is water coming through, mold is now on the walls. And so we now have to go and clean the mold on the wall. More so, the area that was set aside for the lifts, when they did the structural analysis on that area, it cannot accommodate a lift because the engineering that was done, if you install a lift there, it is going to collapse. And therefore, we now have to come up with a different engineering solution to go and fix the lift.
Keep talking, Frank. Keep talking.
And there are numerous other defects that we had to correct and modify, and that is why we now have to spend close to $436 million to fix the defects that we found.
Mrs.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Figueroa.
All your PSA, Kwame. With regards to the new contract, Honorable Minister, can you say what is the percentage of works completed thus far as of 31st of October 2020?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, with the new contract at the 31st of October 2022, 91% of the works were completed.
Wow.
And the project is going to come to an end, hopefully by the end of February, so that the staff of the ministry can now move into that building after all that lengthy correction that we have to do.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for the detailed answer.
Mrs.
Honorable Member, Mr. Minister Kwame McCoy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Minister Dr. Frank Anthony, Honorable Member, could you say whether any steps have been taken to institute legal proceedings against those who are culpable for this tragedy that we have at the Ministry of Health?
Thank you very much.
Honorable Minister, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. The Attorney General has taken the necessary steps to take legal action against the contractor, and so those steps are in progress.
Thank you very much, Minister. Honorable Member,
Yes, just,
Minister Ramson.
just one question that I'm confused about in relation to the supervising firm. So, in relation to project management on government works, contractors are paid subsequent to work completed, with the exception of a mobilization advance. So the work is evaluated, and then a certificate is issued by the responsible department. What I'm trying to clarify, because you said additional payments were made, identified by the Auditor General as works that had not been completed within the 12-month contracting period or contracted period, additional payments were made. On what basis were additional payments made for work not completed, and was it the supervising firm that would have signed off on the work, even though identified some of the problems, or was it from the engineering department, the technical services department?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, from the Auditor General's report, 6 of those payments, the valuation of those payments were not done. The contractor apparently was just paid. and they were paid different sums of money that amounted to $220-something million. So this payment was made without any proper valuation, and as far as I can tell, the supervisory firm did not sign off on those payments, yet the payments were made. In addition to that, is $71 million that were advanced. 26 million of the 71 was used to do works that were not in the contract. These works included building a bridge, a concrete bridge that supposedly cost $7.9 million. It was also to build some hut for drivers and some other miscellaneous type of work, which resulted in using $26 million that was not authorized. And all of this is in the Auditor General's report, and it keeps recurring.
Thank you, Minister. Mr. Clerk.
Statements by ministers, including policy statements, personal explanations, requests for leave to move the adjournment of the National Assembly on definite matters of urgent public importance, motions relating to the business or sittings of the National Assembly, and moved by minister, introduction of bills, public business, government's business.
Honorable members, the Assembly will resolve itself into Committee of Supply to resume consideration of the estimates of expenditure for the financial year 2023. Honorable members, we are now in Committee of Supply. I invite the Honorable Minister of Agriculture and his staff to join us so we could commence consideration of his agency. As the Minister and his staff move into place, honorable members can return to pages 138 and 139. I don't think they will waiver you could carry your PPT. Right? Let me just confirm with Sherlock, right? But we will still see Sherlock. Thank you. Sorry about that. Honorable members, I now propose the question that for Agency 21, Ministry of Agriculture, Program 211, Ministry Administration, Current Affairs, stands part of the estimates. Honorable Member, Mr. Viceroy Jordan.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Mr. Chairman, to the Honorable Minister, I recognize that line item 6116, contracted employees. There's a significant decrease from the year 2022 to 2023 of almost 40 employees. Could the Honorable Minister state what caused this decrease?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, these were Government of Guyana scholars, and they were attached to the ministry's main program. Now their contract have been ended, and they will be placed in, we have already started the process. They are being placed in various agencies. So their employment will reflect in those agencies.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Jordan.
Thank you very much. Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Chairman, 6242 buildings, could the Honorable Minister give a list of those buildings that are to be maintained and what is the nature of the maintenance?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, there are a number of buildings, and can lay it over, and these works including plumbing, painting, replacements of lights and other things, repairs to be done in other infrastructure. And I have the disaggregation here, which I can lay over to the honorable member.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman. 6322, subsidies and contributions to international organizations. Could the Honorable Minister state the purpose of these subsidies?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, these are contribution to the international organization, CARDI, FAO, ICA, IFAD, those organizations that we are making contribution to internationally, the international coconut communities. As I said, that these organizations, we are very, very important members of these organizations and look forward to our contribution.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable members, I now put a question that the sum stated for Agency 21, Ministry of Agriculture, Program 211, Ministry Administration, current expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, can we turn to page 501? I propose the question that the sum stated for Program 211, Ministry Administration, Capital Expenditure, stands part of the estimates. Honorable Member, Mr. Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chairman, flood risk management project, according to the capital profile, it states that there's procurement for earth-moving equipment. Could the Honorable Minister state what are those equipment and where they will be assigned to?
Honorable Minister.
Chair, I could give the honorable member the entire block of $1 billion that is allocated for the flood risk management, and you have a number of areas. For example, 400,000 residents will be benefit from this project on the East Coast.
Mr. Chairman, I asked about the moving equipment.
And I will give him that too, Mr.
But you could stand on a point of order.
Mr. Chair, I am saying that the moving equipment are excavators, amphibious excavators that we have purchased to ensure that we continue maintenance of the East Demerara Water Conservancy. In the same vein, Mr. Speaker, we'll be expending $1 billion in the flood risk management project to do work from Ogle to Lindendeal to ensure that we take care about with about 400,000 residents will benefit, and a number of other work will be done there.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable members, I now put a question that the sum stated for Program 211, Ministry Administration, Capital Expenditure, stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, please turn to pages 140 and 141. And I propose the question that the sum stated for Agency 21, Ministry of Agriculture, Program 212, Agricultural Development Support Services, current expenditure, stands part of the estimates. Honorable Member, Mr. Jordan.
Mr. Chairman, 6321, subsidies and contributions to local organizations. Mr. Chairman, I recognize here that Gaisuka will be receiving some $2 billion out of this $16 billion. Could the Honorable Minister state what directly Gaisuka would be using this $2 billion to do?
Honorable members, just give the Gaisuko team to get in place so they may properly.
Mr. Chair, the $2 billion is disaggregate as follows. Albion 1 billion, Blairmont 600,000, IFLAT 400,000, giving you $2 billion, and which is a salary, fuel, lubricants, other essential material and supplies and lorry contractors. That's the, for the $2 billion.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Ramjatan.
I noticed that there is the same line item. National Drainage and Irrigation Authority will be given some $10 billion here, sir. It is the same line item, but under local organizations, it is reflected more at page 471, where there is a $10 billion. Could we have more or less, in general terms, Minister, the disaggregation of how that $10 billion will be spent?
Honorable Minister.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I can go through all the list of items. For example, we have here, fuel and lubricants. We have here maintenance of DNI projects across the country. You know for a fact that we have purchased a number of pumps, and we are now building a number of sluices to complement, or put pumps to those sluices to complement those pumps. We are also trying to get the replacement of those pumps that were purchased by the APNUAFC government, the 12 pumps, so that we can replace those pumps. Those pumps are inoperable as we are speaking. So all those issues we are trying to deal with, and the $10 billion have been disaggregate to go into works to ensure that we have proper DNI system in the country.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Jordan, you had a follow-up? No? Honorable members, I now put the question that the sum stated for Program 212, Ministry of Agriculture, Agricultural Development and Support Services, current expenditures stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, please turn to pages 501 and 502. And I propose the question that the sum stated for Program 212, Agricultural Development and Support Services Capital Expenditure, stands part of the estimates. The Honorable Member, Mr. Ramjatan.
Again, we see that under this NARI, National Drainage and Irrigation Authority will be getting $6 billion. Could you disaggregate, because you were telling us the $10 billion went to pumps and this and that, and we see pumps and this and that again here.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
So, Mr. Speaker, in my budget presentation, I mentioned that last year we started the construction of 12 pumps. $4.3 billion is allocated to this project because these projects are rollover project, 18 months project. So you have $4.3 billion allocated for the rollover sum of this project. And then you get additional project, and a number of projects will start and continue this year. For example, this year we'll build another 8 additional pumps. For the first time in the history of this country, we'll build pump station on the east bank of Demerara. We never had pump station there before. We had thousands of acres of land in the Pomeroon. We'll be impouldering so that we can resolve the issue with flooding there. Also, we'll do farm-to-market roads in a number of areas. Places like Victoria, Buxton, Letterkenny, Undermeaning, to name a few areas that we'll be doing those roads. As a matter of fact, the Montrose Pump Station that was there for ages. We'll be putting in a new engine at the Montrose Pump Station that will take care of a lot of drainage facility there. And I can go on and list all the other projects to ensure that we have the $10 billion that the honorable member spoke about.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, under mangrove management, I notice, according to the project profile, construction of sea defense structures along Danzig foreshore, Danzig Fairfield foreshore, and I would want to ask the Honorable Minister, what type of structured sea defense structure will be constructed, and what is the cost?
Thank you. Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we can remember what happened at Danzig. Thousands of acres of land were lost because of the seawater encroachment there and the breakage of the sea defense. When we were in opposition, we went there to help, try to see how we could help the farmers, and the government at that time was non-responsive. Today, we have looked at the situation and we have been working very assiduously. My colleague, Minister Bishop Edgell, and his colleague Indar, they have been there on a regular basis. We in the NDI have been working very, very closely with them to build a dam there. We have worked with farmers to build a dam to prevent the seawater. But what we are looking to build back natural vegetation. And that is why the mangrove section of the Ministry of Agriculture will facilitate a construction of 300 a project to do the breakwater system there so that we can stop the encroachment of seawater to come into the arable land so that we will bring back those lands under cultivation.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I also asked for the cost and follow up to that. What is the estimated project completion time?
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The cost and completion time.
So the cost is $104 million, Mr. Speaker, and the expected completion time is approximately 12 months. Thank you, Minister.
Honorable Member, Mr. Ramjitan.
I noticed that there is going to be a $500 million for, includes an abattoir. I don't know how much is going to be spent in the abattoir, but are we going to get that abattoir this year?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, this was the abattoir that the honorable member came and misled this House with and say that they started it in 2020. This abattoir, the contract was signed by the Permanent Secretary in November of 2022. And this here is a contribution from the government of Guyana because you remember it's an IDB project. And we are hoping by the end of this year that this abattoir can be completed. And it's not only $500 million for the abattoir. There's a number of other projects that are listed to be done under this program.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Jordan.
Mr. Chairman, could the Honorable Minister state what is the current stage of the abattoir with regards to construction at this time?
Honorable Minister.
So, Mr. Speaker, the construction of the abattoir, it was signed on the 3rd of November, as I rightly said. The contractor has been mobilized, and he has started some work there, and it's been supervised by the Guyana Livestock Development Authority. And we are hoping, because we'll be doing strict monitoring, because we know for a fact our country now is poised to ensure that we become a player in the beef and cattle industry. So that is why we need this abattoir very importantly, and we are looking that this will be completed very shortly before the year is out so that we can have a modern state-of-the-art abattoir so they can start the export of beef to the Caribbean.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Jordan.
Mr. Chair, the Honorable Minister just stated that the abattoir is important and it is urgently needed. Could the Honorable Minister state then, and he also said that he is paying keen attention to the project, at what stage is the abattoir as we speak? Foundation, roof is on, 50%, 20%, 30%.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, I just said that the contract was signed on the 3rd of November 2022. The stage if the constructor is in the mobilization stage, and works will start shortly to move apace. I am hoping, as I said, within 12 months, this works can be completed. As I said, we are very interested in having this facility completed early as possible. And hopefully within 12 months, this project can complete.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Jordan.
Respected Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, could the Honorable Minister then state to us what happened to the fundings that were within the budget for 2021, 2022, and 2020?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, that was a preliminary work. Those things like periphery work to the site, nothing to do with the abattoir, periphery work, like for example, the drain, the bridges, and things like that.
Thank you very much, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Jordan.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to also ask the Honorable Minister, at what cost did, or what was the total cost for the periphery works completed?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, approximately $89 million.
Thank you very much. Thanks for answering, though it's not directly on the line item. Thank you. Honorable members, I now put a question. Honorable Member, Mr. Holder.
Thank you. Thank you, Comrade Chair. Comrade Chair, line item 1301600, NDIA, $6 billion there. You can see from volume 3 that $10 billion was spent before 2023. Could the minister say if any of that amount from this 10 billion was spent on the Lima sluice, and what was the scope of work completed?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, yes, we expended from on the Lima sluice. We repaired the base to it, and it cost in the vicinity approximately $80 million.
Honorable Member.
Thank you, Comrade Chair and Minister. Comrade Chair, I'm aware of the works that was done at Lima. I have to ask. I don't know the amount. What I will say to the minister, the sluice was painted, you had some works done, some rocks placed at the base of the sluice there where you have the water being pumped out. Currently, if you visit there, those rocks are shifting into the channel of the sluice. So that is a problem. Additionally, the revetment works, the groin area is cracked and it's going into the channel also. So my question is there any provision now to deal with that work? Any remedial works there to correct that situation? Because it poses a serious risk to flooding, and it also hampers the fisher folks that have to come through the channel here, put their boats through that sluice to get to the fishery area.
Thank you very, very much, Honorable Member, Mr. Holder.
Mr. Chair, I am surprised that the Honorable Member. I am surprised that the Honorable Member come to this National Assembly, wait until a question time to bring an issue so important as that to this National Assembly. That shows the kind of way they represent the people. Mr. Speaker, I just said that we did work to the base and we did work to the wall. And again, this year we'll continue to do work there to ensure that we have a proper system in place. But when you know that these things are important, don't wait until to come to question time to score political marks. Come and raise the issue. I know about it, Mr. Speaker, and I will do work. We will do work this year. We will do work this year, but that's the way they do things.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member Mr. Holder, works will be done,
I am
including in
happy.
these
The
estimates.
people of Region 2 are happy. We're excited about it. But what I want to ask the minister is if any action, I just spoke about the rocks, 100 by the minister's own admission, 80-something million spent. All I saw was rocks put down, the structure painted, half painted, revetment works unfinished. This is what I see when I visit that site. Now I want to know, there are obviously defects. The work is defective in my opinion. And so I want to know if, since the minister is aware of it and has been aware of it for a very long time in his own admission, what action has he taken against the contractor?
Honorable
What action
Minister.
or actions?
Mr. Chair, I don't know if the member can comprehend well. I just said we did two works. We did the base and we did the wall. We don't do no painting. We didn't do no painting to the structure. The sluice is operable. The pump is operable. As I said again, this year we'll continue to do work on the sluice. As I said, we haven't executed any painting work. So let the member go and find out who did painting to the sluice. Were two work we did. The two works were the base of the sluice and the wall of the sluice, as I said. And after we have completed those, the sluice is in good operable condition, and the pumps is operable there. So I don't know who did the painting work that the member is referring to.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Quite clear. Honorable Member
Thank you,
Mr.
Commissioner Chair. The
Holder.
minister seems fixated on painting. Let
No,
me be
he's
very
not.
specific.
He's just fixated on what is contained in the estimates.
Well, let's
Two works, the rocks and the retainer wall.
let's fixate on the rocks.
Yes.
I would like to know, I've just said to this house that the rocks are moving. They're moving away, the pump is pumping on them. I suspect that they did that, whatever they did there, to prevent erosion, right? And the rocks are moving away into the channel.
Yeah.
It suggests that the work, there's some level of substandard work there. So I want to know, I'm asking the minister, if any action was taken against the contractor, or if he intends to
But
take any
Honorable
action.
Member, you are an engineer, and I only have 1 year of university civil engineering, only one. So it's hard to impute the substandard work because you and I know how matter moves, whether solid or semi-solid. But at this time, I think it's going to be difficult to impute. I'll ask the minister to repeat his answer that he gave earlier.
Mr. Chair, as I said, the member was asking what type of work we did. I said two types of work, the wall and the base. Now the rock, and if I understand from my layman view, that the rock is placed there as a support protection. It's flexible, and if he's an engineer, a proper engineer, he knows that, right? He will know that the rock is placed there as a support protection, and it's flexible. If the rock moves, it could go back into place. But it will be there all the time to protect the area. And if the honorable member is an engineer, he will know that.
Honorable Member, Mr. Holder.
I don't think the minister understands the situation and he needs to visit urgently. It is my view that the rocks are not of the right specification. They're too light. The force of the water. This occurred, Mr. Speaker, just after the project was completed. I visited there. So it suggests to me, and I'm offering a suggestion here to the minister, that he visit and look at that thing seriously.
Thank you very much. Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, as I said again, the rock was the specification that was demand there, and those are the rocks that were available, Guyana rock, and we put it there.
Thank you. Thank you, honorable members. I now put a question.
No, just a minute.
Sorry. Honorable Member, Mr. Ramjatan.
I think the 4,200,000,000, that is 4,500 to 400. I noticed that on the profile page that we have experimental brackish water prawns production and marine cage fishing as part of this $4.2 billion. Just for my question here, who will be getting these brackish water prawns farms or cage fishing farms? Would it be government controlled or is it going to be given to farmers?
Before I ask the Honorable Minister to answer, let me assure the Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson, I shall neither rush nor rock the estimates. Go ahead, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, any fish farmers or any brackish water farmer who need help will be getting help under this program. As a matter of fact, let me tell you what. Last year when this entire program was conceptualized, we looked at the subsistence farming that these farmers normally do in the areas that they were doing these activities. Now, you had about 120 farmers who used to produce roughly about 10,000 kilograms of shrimp monthly. So we spoke with them, we discussed, and we said we'll help them to enhance their ponds. We did infrastructural work, and we were able to move from brackish water shrimp production, although we did not complete the entire project. We are about 80% of the project completion. We were able to move brackish water shrimp from 10,000 kilograms monthly, and they were doing this on a subsistence basis, to 83,000 kilograms by the end of December. We are hoping that on the completion of this project, we'll increase that to 120,000 kilograms monthly. And we are having the diaspora overseas, and the Honorable Member will know who are using these shrimp. But the point is that we will increase and expand the brackish water shrimps too, because this activity is concentrated mostly on the quarantine coast. We want to bring it on the East Coast, we want to bring it on the West Coast, and the entire Guyana, so that we can become a big producer of this species of shrimp, which is very lucrative. For example, Ecuador export prawns, almost $7 billion annually they are raking in. We are hoping that this will become a major industry for us in Guyana.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member, Mr. Ramjatan.
Could we get, now that certain farmers in need will be getting these, what is the amount out of the 4.2 billion will be put into this project so that it will then be distributed to farmers?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, 445.2 million will go into these project.
Honorable Member, Mr. Ramjatan.
That's a huge amount. Is the criteria then just at the discretion of the minister or people who come and ask for help?
Honorable Minister.
As I said, Mr. Chair, anyone could get help under this program. As a government, we know, in the Fisheries Department, know a number of these persons have a register. And if the Honorable Member have person, he could bring it to my attention, we will help those persons too. No problem. This government help every single person in this country.
Honorable Member, Mr. George.
Mr. Chair, Sustainable Agricultural Development Project, I see some $500 million provided there, sir. Could the Honorable Minister state, out of that 500 million, how much will go to the support for farmers in regions 4, 5, 6, and 10? And what is the support that will be provided? And why is it that we are only providing support for only region 4, 5, 6, and 10, when agriculture should be our national issue at the moment, all 10 administrative regions?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, this is a program for the coastal area of our country. And that is why those regions are listed. You have another program that takes care of the hinterland community, the HISAT-P program, that takes care of the hinterland. So this program, $100 million have been allocated to support farmers in these coastal regions.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member Mr. Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Could the Honorable Minister go far enough to specify what is the program? I understand now it's coastal. What is the support that will be given?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, this entails a lot of work in terms of trainings with farmers, giving them support, like starting them, help them to enhance their livestock section, give them tools, gardening tools, give them agriculture input, and those things.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Holden.
Thank you, Comrade Chair. Line item 130-1600. Comrade Chair, about a year ago, the administration preferred that dredging of the Pomeroon River would largely, I said it. Dredging of the Pomeroon River they prefer that dredging the Pomeroon River will solve or largely solve the problems of flooding within that area. So my question to the minister is, has the dredging been completed? At what cost or what percentage? And the follow-up question is, what percentage reduction in flooding has been, well, I don't want to say projected, but, well, let's say projected at this stage.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, yes, there was a contract awarded $500 million ongoing to do the dredging of the Pomeroon River. Whilst that is going on, we are still enhancing the areas in the Pomeroon to stop flooding. There are flooding of these tremendously in the Pomeroon since we started those block drainage, those elevation of the beds, the farmers' gardening beds. So this will continue. This will continue. So I don't know if the honorable member is insinuating that by we are doing the dredging of the Pomeroon River, we should not do any other things for the farmers that will ease the flooding. With climate change now taking place, you're having almost rain every single day. And we have to prepare for it. And the Pomeroon is an area that needs special attention. And we'll continue to do all the work that are necessary so that Pomeroon could ensure that it be one of the most productive areas. Once again, very shortly, ICA will partner with us to start coffee cultivation once again in the Pomeroon, so that Pomeroon can produce coffee for us in Guyana.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Holden.
Thank you, Comrade Chair. You see, the minister failed to answer what percentage of the works are being completed. I heard $500 million as a total, but he failed to establish how much work is completed thus far, and at least a projection of the reduction. But we'll move on. He went on to talk about the beds. I can't remember the description that he gave, but I understand the scope of work that he's talking about. On that very project that he just mentioned, I'm aware that the farmers would have asked for the refurbishment of an excavator. I'm also aware that the NDC chair in specific in that area in the Pomeroon would have requested the repairs at a cost of about $3.5 million. I've learned subsequently that the government intends to spend $12 million on the excavator. So I'm a little unclear if they've increased the scope of works on the excavator. Mind you, the people are requesting 3.5 to repair the excavator. So I'm trying to get some clarity there, why the cost is increased, and if they're actually moving ahead with that project.
Honorable Member, I think you want to conclude by asking the Minister if all of these expenses will be accommodated under this line item.
Of course, Comrade Chair.
Mr. Chair, as the honorable member will know, repairs will be catered for under current budget, not capital. One. Secondly, if I can, roughly about 70% of the first phase of the work have been completed that he mentioned, that he asked earlier. And also the two farmers group that we went and met with, and they have the two excavators. The excavators now are at the supplier. It will cost almost $13.5 million to bring it back to operable standing so that the farmers can have those excavators.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, under sustainable agricultural development, there's a broad heading here, institutional strengthening. Could the Honorable Minister state out of the $500 million, how much will go to institutional strengthening, and what are the specifics of the institutional strengthening that will take place, and in what regions it will take place?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, $100 million will go to training for NARI and GLDA staff. You know for a fact now we have to keep our extension officer in line with what is taking place so that they could give better advice and guidance to the farmers around the country. And then there are other money allocated. For example, you have $191 million that is allocated. I mentioned the abattoir, the money that we have to contribute to the abattoir. I say $100 million will go to the programs for the farmers. Those regions that the honorable member mentioned, 10, the coastal regions. And you have consultation, you have the payment for laboratory, office building. Those are the disaggregation I can later and give the member to make up the $500 million that is in this program.
Thank you very much, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Ramjitan.
I notice another $100 million for equipment under Food Safety Authority. The description of the project is rather skimpy. Provision for equipment. What are the equipment we're talking about here? $100 million worth.
Mr. Chair.
Minister.
Mr. Chair, this year we'll start the construction of the Food Safety Authority building. At the same time, the AG, when he spoke on his budget debate, he said we'll bring a number of legislation to Parliament. One of the legislation that the APNO AFC would have passed was the Food Safety Authority bill, which we have to bring back here for amendment because they have very many punitive clauses. But the Food Safety Authority, I'm hoping that that can come into being later on this year after the completion of that building, and this money is allocated for the lab. Because remember, all the activity now that falls under food and drugs and so will come under the Food Safety Authority. So the $100 million have the disaggregation here, the type of equipment, and so that it will purchase for this lab.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable members, I now Honorable Member Mr. Holder.
Thank you, Comrade Chair. Project code 4503400, integrated agriculture. I notice drying floors under this item, and in the budget speech, Region 2 was mentioned, but I don't see Region 2 listed there. So I'd like to know if there are any drying floors being constructed in Region 2.
Honorable Minister.
Where? Location.
Mr. Chair, this here is listed for 2 drying floors that will come out of the integrated agriculture budget. And the other drying floor will be funded by the revenue coming out of GRDB for the Region 2 area that the honorable members.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you.
Honorable Member Mr. Holder.
Could the minister say which areas the drying floors will be constructed? Which communities?
Honorable Minister. It's not under this head, but since it was right, I allow it. Under this head, Honorable Member.
Mr. Chair, I have just advised by the GM at GRDB that one will be built by the revenue from GRDB at Somerset and Burks.
Somerset and Burks, good area. Honorable Member Mr. Holder.
So it's one. I heard two in the budget speech.
Honorable members, we have to listen. The minister
Probably
says,
just
two,
a
honorable
clarification.
minister, please. Two under this particular head we're talking
Yeah.
about, and the region two is GRDB.
Right, Prince
Right,
of Forest
right.
and Cotton City.
Okay, okay. Project code 280-2900 Sustainable Agriculture Development. Under the description, you got support the farmers, but I see only region 4, 5, 6. I'm wondering if this sum, if in this sum there's anything catering for farm to market roads, and if the minister could tell the House how many of the previously rehabilitated farm to market roads are in good condition at this current time.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, this program, as I mentioned, this program is catered for support to farmers in what I said, farming equipment, tools, input for agriculture. Farm to market road, this year I mentioned it in my budget speech when I spoke, that will continue the second phase of the Dominion Road this year, and that will continue. In the other areas, what we have been doing during the rice crop and other areas, we have been rehabilitating these areas so that farmers can have easy access to and from their farm.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Holder.
Project code 1701500 GLDA. Breeding facilities listed there under this project description. So I'm wondering if there's anything in the budget here for Region 2 in terms of breeding facility. Maybe black belly sheep.
Honorable Minister.
By now, it's public knowledge that the President launched this project in Region 5. He said that the project will start in Region 5. I mentioned it that we have already received 438 black belly sheep from Barbados. We are hoping before the first quarter of this year that we'll receive the remaining to make it 1,000. So this project, as it's launched in Region 5, it will start in Region 5, and then we'll go to different parts of the country. So probably Region 2 will come into being later on.
Later on. Thank you very much, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, contribution to local cooperation, Gaisuko. There is some more money, $2 billion there for Gaisuko. Mr. Chair, could the Honorable Minister disaggregate this sum in the sense that he helps us to understand what will the $2 billion do now for Gaisuko?
Honorable Minister.
So it's now public knowledge that probably the members over there didn't understand sugar. That is why they closed the sugar industry. So I'll give them a little knowledge what we'll be doing with this $2 billion. So Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chair, 1.195 billion is allocated to Rose Hall. As I mentioned, that we will reopen Rose Hall later on this year, the second crop of this year. You'll see smoke out of the chimney of Rose Hall Estate. And I have here the disaggregation, 1 semi-mechanical planter trailer, 4 fixed frame tractor, fertilizer applicator, boom sprayer, 200 drainage tube, 260 cane ponds. And we could have saved these money. When they closed the estate, they left the pond to rot. Now we have to build back those ponds, 260 cane ponds, 400 sling chains, 5 bell loaders. These are the things for Rose Hall. Then we're talking about $539 million for the factory, Rose Hall factory, to complete the works in the Rose Hall factory. And it's rehabilitation of mill, cane gantry component, cane carrier, boiler component, bagasse carrier, centrifugal basket and crystallizer, rehabilitation of scales, vacuum pan, wharf, general factory equipment. And it has the disaggregation. And then we'll spend another $50 million on buildings and roads around the areas. So that takes us to $1.195 billion that is allocated out of $2 billion to Rose Hall Estate. Now another $452 million is allocated to Albion Estate, and it has here, we'll purchase tractor fertilizer applicator, boom sprayer, and then $300 million allocated to the starting of the construction of the packaging plant, the first phase at Albion. Blaymont, $287 million allocated, and you have a number of projects here: mechanical planting trailer, fixed frame tractor, fuel applicator, and $200 million will be allocated to the packaging plant to expand it, the lines at Blaymont, and $56 million allocated for iPlot Estate to do work to enhance that estate there. So when you add these up, it gives you $2 billion.
Thank you very much, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Jordan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I'm happy for that explanation from the Minister. But could the Minister go a little bit forward to say to us, what is the current completion, the completed percentage of works at Rosal Estate? And the Minister also stated that we will begin the new Rosal to function sometime within this year. Could the Minister state when will the first crop of canes be planted so as to prepare for the reopening?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, it was a public knowledge in the Stabrook News last Sunday. It was a big article that 75% of the work at the Rosal factory has been completed. We have almost 3,000 hectares of cane that is ready for the second crop of 2022. So that will be harvested. That will give us approximately 8 to 10 weeks of grinding in the second crop of 2022.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, $452 million for Albion and another $300 million for the packaging plant. Could the Honorable Minister state what type of, if any, and what type of study was done for the construction of this packaging plant at Albion, and if it is absolutely necessary for the packaging plant?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, it's public knowledge by now because the study shows that packaged sugar is more lucrative than the bulk sugar. And I mentioned it that this year we'll increase package and bag sugar more than the bulk sugar so that we can have more money, more revenue generated from Gaisuku.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Jordan.
Mr. Chair, with $2 billion being provided for Gaisuku, it is public knowledge also that Gaisuku has not made a single crops target in the last year. Mr. Speaker, could the Honorable Minister say to this House what percentage Gaisuku fell short by estates, that is, for the final crop of last year?
That's
And
more for a question to the Minister directly because you're now asking for an update. We, across all the estates.
Yes.
And we're dealing with a specific line item here.
It's for Gaisuku, Mr. Speaker.
So,
All right, let me complete. And what amount of profit did Gaisuku make during the last crop?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, I mentioned it, that, and the Minister of Finance would have said it in his budget speech, that Gaisuku, and I don't have it here for individual estate, fell short by 18%. But the point is that the honorable members keep harping on Gaisuku. I was looking when I spoke at the budget debate, what Mr. Ramjatan said in Parliament, that we want them to pump more money in Gaisuku. That is why they're over there. Gaisuku satisfy a number of issues in our country. The social issues, look at how many employment Gaisuku is providing. Look at the village economy. Look at the health facility. Look at the social facilities. All those contributions Gaisuku are making to the development of our country. And the honorable member is talking about profit. Gaisuku will become profitable again. We have to work, and they ran down Gaisuku. I mentioned it, that when we came out of government in 2015, Gaisuku was producing 231,000 tons of metric tons of sugar. And in 2019, Gaisuku gone down to 91,000 metric tons. So that's the point they took Gaisuko. They want to close Gaisuko because they feel Gaisuko supporters are working there, and they will punish Gaisuko supporters, they will punish the PVP supporters if they close Gaisuko. That is the vindictiveness of the opposition, and they will not have a chance again in this country, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable members, let us try to refrain from the general debate. We're asking very specific questions with respect to the allocations. Honorable member, Mr. Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I just want to clarify, just get the understanding. I listened to the minister, ranting just now. I want to understand, is it that the minister is saying that Gaisuko is failing? I want it to be clear. I don't really understand what he's saying. It's the same line item. Or rather, is he saying that Gaisuko has failed?
You will have to start now framing the question with respect to the allocation, right? In light of these allocations, blah blah blah. But now that you've given ways so that the honorable minister can answer a policy issue, go ahead, honorable minister. Is
Chair,
Gaisuko
as
failing?
I said earlier, and the member is referring to me ranting, I am saying the fact. Gaisuko has never failed, and it will never fail, because Gaisuko is supporting almost half of the population in certain areas. And we will continue to support Gaisuko because Gaisuko is making a big difference in this country. Gaisuko, let me tell you, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, Gaisuko is responsible for all or most of the wealth that we own in today's Guyana. Gaisuko make a lot of contribution. Even the National Cultural Center, we had money come out of Gaisuko to build that cultural center, right? Gaisuko is making a valuable contribution to our country's economy. And as I said, when we came out of government in 2015, Gaisuko was on the path of turnaround. But they killed Gaisuko. They starved Gaisuko for funds. They just spent about $76 billion only on $76 million on Gaisuko. And they wanted, as I said, they want to punish the PVP supporter and saying if they close Gaisuko, they'll punish the PVP supporter. But we will continue to support any cooperation that employs a large number of persons and give livelihood to that section of the population.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable members, we do have an hour allocated for this particular agency, and we are now at 11:27, having started at 10:32. Honorable Member, Mr. Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, the very same line item, $300 million for the packaging plant, 452 for Albion. Mr. Chair, with all this investment into Gaisuko and production still falls short every crop, is there any plan by the Honorable Minister to change the management of Gaisuko so that we can see profitability and increased production?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, this is one of the plans, as I said. And when you have plans, you have to continue update plans. And one of the plans is to ensure that we have these packaged sugar, lucrative sugar. The management of Gaisuko, yes, we have made changes. We have made changes recently, and we'll continue. We have moved managers, we have replaced managers, and we'll continue to do that. That's a work in progress, and we'll continue to bring new managers into the system with new ideas.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Jordan.
All right, Mr. Chair. Line item 45003400, Integrated Agriculture Development Program. Could the Honorable Minister state who are the young people that will benefit from the Youth Agricultural and Entrepreneurship Program, and in which region or regions this program will be had?
Mr. Chair.
Honorable Minister, go.
Yes, Mr. Chair. This program, I mentioned it. Last year, we started out this program. The president launched this program. And 100 graduates from the University of Guyana, Guyana School of Agriculture are in this program presently. This year, we'll expand it to all the regions in our country. We'll have more young graduates and more young people coming into this program. And this program will be going across our country.
Thank you very much, Minister. Thank you, honorable members. Honorable members, I now put a question that the sum stated for Program 212, Agricultural Development and Support Services Capital Expenditure, stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, we can turn to pages 142 and 143. Fisheries. Honorable members, I propose the question that the sum stated for Agency 21, Ministry of Agriculture, Program 213, Fisheries, current expenditure stands part of the estimates. Thank you. Honorable members, I now put a question that the sum stated for Program 213, Fisheries, current expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, we can turn to page 502. And I propose the question that the sum stated for Program 213, Fisheries, capital expenditure stands part of the estimates. Honorable Member, Mr. Ramchutan.
Yeah, this capital works. I notice there is a payment of retention here, and the same line item, it's one line item for this fisheries, $35 million. I notice enhanced production as the benefits of the program. What is going to be enhanced here? The actual production, or let me just get an answer to that.
Mr. Chair, this is a retention from a rollover project, $3 million. And the construction of two drainage structure that was done will be utilized to remove excess water from the ponds at the Tatagilsa Aquaculture Station at Manrico. The pond, because when raw water fall, excessive water can overflow. The fish can, you understand that you have. So you have water will remove the flow.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable members, I now put a question that is sum stated for Program 213, Fisheries, capital expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, pages 144 and 145. Honorable members, I propose the question that the sum stated for Agency 21, Ministry of Agriculture, Program 214, Hydrometeorological Services, current expenditure stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, I put a question that the sum stated for Program 214, Hydromet Services, stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, we can turn to page 502. Same program, 214, Hydrometeorological Services, capital expenditure. And I propose the question that the sum stated stands part of the estimates. The honorable member.
I see it as for equipment. Is this going to be the scientific equipment that is going to help out with our better forecast of the weather?
Honorable Minister, a better Doppler?
No, Mr. Chair. That the honorable member is referring to is listed in integrated. That particular equipment. But this here is for more meteorological ocean, the buoys at the Demerara River, aluminum boat and engine to do work in the various hinterland communities, and so.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable members, I now put the question that the sum stated for Program 214, Hydromet Services capital expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, let us thank the Honorable Minister and his staff from the various agencies and programs for taking us through these estimates. And now let us invite the Honorable Minister of Tourism, Industry and Commerce and her staff to join us as her agency comes up for consideration. As the Minister and staff get into place, let us turn to pages 150 and 151. Just one second. I've been distributing. Keep checking. Thank you, honorable members, honorable minister and your staff. We are at page 150 and 151. Honorable members, I propose a question that the sum stated for Agency 23, Ministry of Tourism, Industry and Commerce, Program 231, Policy Development and Administration current expenditure stands part of the estimates. Honorable member, Ms. Hughes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Minister, 6242, maintenance of buildings. We see a large increase. Could you give us a breakdown of what that is and where that building is?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sorry. The increase caters for the maintenance of building works taken at the head office and the National Exhibition Center. The maintenance works, the repairs and recapping at the National Exhibition, extensive works as we prepare for the resurgence of the rehosting of the Guy Expo that has been had to be we didn't have for the past 2 years because of the pandemic. So the National Exhibition Center has been doing some extensive maintenance works.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Hughes.
Thanks. Can we disaggregate that? Just break it down to the two. What's for the Exhibition Center and what's for the main office of the ministry?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chairman, the head office, 1.2 million, caters for the maintenance work on the changing of locks, replacement of bulbs and fittings, minor plumbing works. At the National Exhibition Center, 14.5 million. repairs and recapping of staff quarters, 1.4 million. Repairs to the fuel bond and installation of storage shelves, 1.5 million. Repairs and recapping to the foreman stores, 1.2 million. Refurbishing of the Guy Expo Secretariat and kitchen area, 3.4 million. Repairs to the roof, shed, and main stage area at the main auditorium, 2.9 million. Repairs and repainting of the floors, walls, and stage of the main auditorium, 2.8 million. Replacing defective outlets and lighting fixtures in the office building, 200,000. Replacing all damaged PVC fittings, 50,000. Repairs to fiberglass gutters, 1 million.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Hughes.
Thank you. 6284. Can you explain others?
Honorable Minister.
Other, this is the marketing and communication and production activities due to increased collaboration with the private sector. This number has significantly decreased, sorry.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Sears.
Mr. Speaker, could the Honorable Minister, with regards to line item 6291, National Other Events, state to this Honorable House how much is allocated to matrimony, emancipation, and if any allocation is being made to cater for CPL Cricket Carnival.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chairman, there's several national events that is catered for. I believe that the honorable members asked for matrimony specifically. Cricket Carnival. Cricket Carnival, 5 million. Guy Expo, 5 million. Christmas Village. Emancipation, 250,000. Diwali, 300,000. Matrimony, 800,000.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable members, I now put the question that the sums. Honorable Member, Mr. Sears.
With regards to line item 6302, training, the question that I'm posing to the Minister is that could the Minister state the areas of studies that will be catered for?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The areas that they're going to be training for is in strategic direction, which is 200 businesses to be trained in the Digital in Motion initiative and 50 businesses to be trained in export readiness.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Figueroa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Follow up on the very said line item. Minister, you would have indicated that it is for training for over 200 businesses. Have those businesses been identified, and is it a reflection of all 10 administrative regions?
Honorable Minister.
The businesses, the partnership, this is a project in partnership with the UNDP, Mr. Chairman, and the businesses identified are in regions 3, 4, and 5.
Thank you.
Could you indicate what were the criteria for these set to 100 businesses. In the event of other persons may want to be considered, they can satisfy the criteria in the future.
Yes.
Honorable Minister.
This project is being conducted in consultation with the UNDP, and we can make the criterion available, or the process in which the UNDP has engaged to choose I believe the regions were chosen, and the UNDP has identified the businesses in consultation with the ministry, and we can make the entire project document available to the honorable member.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Holder.
Thank you, Current Chair. 6291. Could the minister explain or justify the sums or the disparity between the sums for Mashramani and Cricket Carnival? 800,000 for Mash, $5 million for Cricket Carnival. Mashramani has been tradition for Guyanese, something that yes, it is Guyanese, something that we all embrace. It brings out our different culture. It represents Guyana holistically. And so I am a bit puzzled. I'd like the minister to really explain or justify the difference between those provisions, $800,000 to $5 million for this new initiative, Cricket Carnival.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chairman, it appears that there is a discrepancy, but there is a wide gap, but there isn't really. This 800,000 that's reflected in this program one, it is 800,000 that is only from the ministry program one. All of the other subvention agencies that are under the ministries also have an item that caters for Mashramani. So cumulatively, it adds up to way more than the Cricket Carnival. These, and also Mashramani is a culture, youth, and sport event that is also catered for in budget-wise in that ministry.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable members, I now put a question that the sum stated for Agency 23, Ministry of Tourism, Industry and Commerce, Program 231, Policy Development and Administration, current expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, we can turn to page 503. And I propose the question that the sum stated for Program 231, Policy Development and Administration, capital expenditure stands part of the estimates. Honorable Member, Ms. Hughes.
Line item 1214700. Can you say where this fence is?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chairman, this fence is located at the National Exhibition Center.
Thank you very much, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Sears.
Just a quick follow-up on that particular line item, Mr. Speaker. Could the Honorable Minister share the value of the fence?
Honorable Minister.
Construction of the fence is budgeted at 13.847 million.
Thank you very much, Minister. Honorable members, I now put a question that the sum stated for Program 231. Honorable Member, Mr. Sears.
Line item which reflects furniture and equipment. The question to the Honorable Minister is, could the Honorable Minister share or lay over to this Honorable House the offices who will be the beneficiaries of this allocation?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you,
Honorable
Mr. Chairman.
Minister.
The offices with the National Exhibition Center, the and the head office, please.
All right, take care. They still look so like
Honorable persons online, honorable members, please mute the mic, and if you need to interject, then you can unmute. Honorable members, I now put the question that the sum stated for Program 231, Policy Development and Administration. Capital expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, please turn to pages 152 and 153. And I propose the question that the sum stated for Agency 23, Ministry of Tourism, Industry and Commerce, Program 232, Policy, Business Development, Support and Promotion, current expenditure, stands part of the estimates. Honorable Member, Ms. Hughes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Line item 6281, Security Services. Could you explain the increase, giving the name of the security company and the locations at which these services are being provided?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chairman, this increase caters for the provision of 6 new security services at 6 new locations because of the call centers that the Ministry of Tourism, Industry and Commerce has been have started. The additional call centers at Berbice, number 75 Village, on the Neming and the Regina, and the industrial estate at Region 10, Amelia's Ward. Mr. Speaker, and so the increase in security services at these locations.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Hughes.
I don't think I heard the name of the security company.
Mr. Speaker, the names cannot be provided because unlike maybe our friends, we don't handpick or sole source. These names are they're going to go to open tender, and the lowest bidder will be contracted.
Honorable Minister, Honorable Member, Ms. Hughes.
Mr. Speaker, I think we're all aware of the security company. Anyways, can we disaggregate 6284, which also has a massive increase?
Honorable Minister.
This increase caters for the development of industrial development manual for the industrial estates, the increased quality of the publication of tender due to the additional major capital projects that will be executed by the Industrial Development Department. And it also caters for the computer networking facilities and a CCTV security system at the new scrap metal office.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Hughes.
Under training, could you say if this training is local or international?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, thank you. The training, including the scholarships, are all will be conducted right here in Ghana. There will be no international scholarships on this onto this line item.
Okay. Honorable
Thank
Member
you.
Misuse.
6261. Could you give us an idea? We see the increase in local travel and subsistence. Could you give us an idea of the areas that are associated with that travel?
Honorable Minister.
This is the local travel is due to increased site visits. As we know, we've added 6 new industrial estates and call centers. So there twice per month visits to the Eccles, Collagen, the 2 call centers at Berbice and Mortution, the new industrial estates in Essequibo, the Wakenham and Amelia's Ward, as well as Belvedere. So the increase is due to the fact that we actually have more industrial activities.
Thank you, Minister.
Mr. Speaker,
Honorable Member Mr. Sears.
just a quick follow-up on that line item. I noticed that there was no mention of the Linden Call Center located at Caracaro. Could the Honorable Minister state if this call center still falls under her purview?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, it does not fall under the purview. That specific call center does not. We do have one call center, but it's not. It's one at Amelia's Ward and not at Caracaro.
Honorable Member Mr. Sears.
Maybe I would have missed something, Mr. Speaker. Is the Honorable Minister stating that there's a call center or industrial site in Amelia's Ward?
At industrial estate.
Thank you.
Honorable Member Mr. Sears.
Line item 6321, subsidies and contribution to local organs. The question to the Honorable Minister is, could the Honorable Minister disaggregate the allocation for the local organs and subsidies and contributions? Where are these contributions being made to?
Before you answer, Honorable Minister, there is a schedule at the back of the estimates. So I think this is the 4th budget we are dealing with here now. Honorable Minister, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, would the Honorable like it to be disaggregated, the contribution?
Yes.
Yes.
So we have annual contributions to the Small Business Bureau, National Bureau of Standards, and yes, that's it. Small Business Bureau, National Bureau of Standards.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, I now put a question that the sum stated for program 232, Business Development, Support and Promotion, current expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, please turn to page 503. We will deal with the same program, 232, Business Development, Support and Promotion, Capital Expenditure. And I propose the question that the sum stated stands part of the estimates. Honorable Member, Ms. Hughes.
4404-200, Small Business Development Fund. Could you explain the thinking behind the fact that there's been no increase in funds for the provision of Small Business Development Fund?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chairman, the target's been 1,000 grants for the year of 2023. This way surpasses the target of the 560 grants in 5 years under the previous administration. So I do believe, Mr. Speaker, that 1,000 grants for 1 year is very significant. It's not insignificant.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Sears.
Mr. Speaker, just going back a little bit, Agency Code 1214700, buildings. Could the Honorable Minister share where this parking lot is located?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, could the honorable member repeat the line item?
Honorable Member, please repeat the line item.
1214700 on the buildings.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The parking area with shed is to be located at the new scrap metal unit that is being constructed.
Thank you very much, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Sears.
Mr. Speaker, on the line item 440-3100, sorry, under National Quality Infrastructure, could the Honorable Minister give a quick brief overview with regards to this project? I think this is being funded by IDB.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This project the National Quality Infrastructure deals with enhancing the quality of the business environment and also the quality of our exports. And so enhancing the National Bureau of Standards so that they are able to prepare our products and make sure that they're export ready at the international standards. To that extent, Mr. Speaker, we have had to build out the laboratory facilities at the Ghana National Bureau of Standards and other kinds of capital works to build out the capacity for the National Bureau of Standards.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Mahipal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I go back to 440-4200, Small Business Development Fund. This $300 million here. I heard the Honorable Minister said that they're catering for 1,000 grants. Am I to interpret that as 300 persons or organizations will benefit from this this sum?
Honorable Minister.
1,000 grants here, Mr. Chairman, means 1,000 recipients. Not sure what.
So can the Honorable Minister say what is the value that will go? Is there a cap that will go to every recipient?
According to our grant regulation, Mr. Chairman, thank you, the ceiling is 500,000 and the minimum is 150,000. So it can be anywhere in between.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Mahipal.
Mr. Chairman, would the Honorable Minister be kind enough to say how is it that a member or an organization in the public domain can apply for this grant? What is the system that is in place that can facilitate the application?
Honorable Minister.
The application process can be done online on the website of the Small Business Bureau. When the business must be registered with the Bureau and satisfy the criteria of being a small business according to the Small Business Amendment Act. And the businesses also must be compliant that they are registered with the Commercial and Deeds Registry, must be GRA and NIS compliant. And then they will submit a business plan. And based on the completed plan, a determination will be made as to whether the grant can be, the applicant can get a grant.
Thank you, Minister.
Chair, with your permission.
Honorable Member, Mr. Mahipal.
Thank you, sir. Sir, with your permission, can I ask the Honorable Minister how many grants were distributed last year with the same allocated sum? If it is the same 1,000 they're looking at?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, I will indulge the honorable member for last year, even though we're dealing with projection for this year, for 2023. Last year was 1,439 grants were distributed.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Mike Ford.
Thank you, sir. Sir, so last year they distributed 1,439, and this year they're looking at 1,000. Is there a reason for the reduction in terms of the spread?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, I would like to correct that for the record. It was 1,429, not 39. I didn't make an error. Mr. Speaker, the 1,429 far surpassed our projections for last year as well, for 1,200. This year, we have decided to do more monitoring and of the businesses. So we've decided to make that 1,000 businesses. It does not, but it will not necessarily be limited to 1,000. That's our target. We have been increasingly every year we've been exceeding our targets, and we probably might this year. But 1,000 is the number of the businesses that we feel that we can effectively monitor. It's a target that we can we find that we can work with, that it's sustainable in terms of not just handing them the grants, but be able to follow up with training, follow up with more inspections that the businesses can grow. So that figure we consider will be a manageable figure for us to handle. But Mr. Speaker, it does not mean that we're confining ourselves to 1,000, because we have found that we continue to exceed our targets as we set them.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Mike.
Chair, may I ask the Honorable Minister, what is the monitoring structure that is in place for this 1429, and how does she envisage enhancing it to cater for the additional 1,000 that is expected this year, in view of some of the businesses who received the funding from this grant in Region 3 are no longer functioning?
Minister, Honorable.
Mr. Speaker, the Small Business Bureau, there is a robust monitoring structure already in place. Because of the widespread, the fact that it's not just confined to one region, we are in every single region of the country, Mr. Speaker. It has taken more resources and time to go to these different regions. We have decided to spread it out, unlike what has happened previously, to spread it to the far-flung regions. So the monitoring structure, it's going to be enhanced only because we have to do more traveling to do the monitoring. But I am not quite sure what further I'm not quite sure if I answered that question from the honorable member.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Mahi.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, from the 1,429, the 1,429 that benefited last year, should they be interested in continuing expanding their business, can they be entitled to another grant from this bureau, or this 1,000 that they're looking at is strictly for new business enterprise?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The policy is when a business has received a grant, they cannot receive another grant. But there is a facility for credit guarantee. There is a credit guarantee program where they can get access to or help to get credit from a private bank, and that is facilitated as a guarantee program through the Small Business Bureau.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Mahi.
Thank you, sir. My last question on this line item. Sir, is there a target for every region that the ministry is looking at with reference to this 1,000 that is expected in 2023? Is there a target for each region? And if so, would the minister be kind enough to say how many businesses are targeted for each region?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the targets, it will be based on demand. It is a first come, first serve. It's based on who is asking. And it's also, we will be looking in terms of region at the past distribution. Every region has its unique nuances in terms of population. So a densely populated region would obviously may have more requests than a region that is sparsely populated. So it's based on demand, please. So there's no specific target per region.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Mahipur.
Chair, forgive me, I did say my last question, but I want to follow up based on the answer the minister referenced there.
Go ahead.
Sir, in the far-flung regions of our country, accessibility to information poses a problem, and many of them may not have access to information technology and so on. Does the ministry have any mechanism in place to edify the citizens of the various far-flung regions and allow them the opportunity to access this fund and assist them in terms of satisfying the criteria so that our friends and our loved Guyanese in regions 7, 8, 9, and 10 can also have access to this fund and at least develop themselves through this small business development fund allocation.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, the Small Business Bureau and the ministry have done several outreaches to all of the regions. It's been widely known, and we continue to do these outreaches where we bring all of the compliance agencies as well as the application process, sensitization, and information sessions have been held in every single region, and we continue to do that. We don't, this is the entire ministry. We also, entire SBB, the staff, they have gone to every region to spread information about this, this grant process. We also, in every region, we have a help desk, a Small Business Bureau help desk, situated where people can interface and if there are any questions on the different regions as well.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Mahipur.
Chair, the Honorable Minister indicated to this Honorable House just now that there is 1,429 recipients of small business grants from last year. And I am looking at volume 2, sir, on page 124, and it says here number of small businesses that receive loans and grants from the Small Business Bureau is 722. So I would like the Honorable Minister to clarify how is it that in her volume 2 she's saying 722 received loans and grants, but under this Small Business Bureau allocation here, we're seeing that she's saying 1,429. I'd love to have that clarification.
Mr. Chairman, yes, thank you. At the time of printing, it was that figure, 729. We have since distributed to the tune up to the 31st of December to the balance of the 1,429, please.
Sir.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Mahipur.
Sir, so am I to interpret that at the time of printing, their target was 1,100, and now they're saying to this House that they have reduced that target to 1,000 for 2023?
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we have distributed 1,229 grants to small and micro enterprises, many of whom are women, many of whom are single parents, many businesses that have suffered during the COVID-19 pandemic. And Mr. Speaker, I don't know that this is the time to quibble over 2 or more targets. We have done and surpassed far beyond what the previous administration have done in terms of helping micro enterprises and people in vulnerable areas, including Region 10.
Thank you very much, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Mahipal.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I thank the minister for doing what she has to do. That is what she's there for. Congratulations on doing all of this. But our job, sir, requires her to clarify these numbers that are mixed up here. Just now, sir, the Honorable Minister said that they did 1,229. And before that, we heard 1,429. So we need that clarification, that's one. And two, at the time of printing this budget, which was the day before the budget speech, when we received it, her target was set here as 1,100. And the minister is saying to us now that her target is 1,000. So I'm asking, the $300 million is fixed, and they had set that target as 1,100, which is an additional 100 people benefiting. Excellent. But now the minister is saying that the target is 1,000. All I'm asking the Honorable Minister, clarify these numbers.
Honorable Minister, there seems to be some confusion in the Honorable Member's mind, so please can you clarify?
Mr. Speaker, the current target is 1,000 grants for 2023.
So, Honorable Member, 1,000 grants for 2023.
So, well, all I will say and rest this case is that they should reflect the true, what she's been saying, the true value or the true numbers in these books. Because the books have different numbers.
Yeah. Honorable Member, Mr. Sears.
Mr. Speaker, moving on with regards to line item 4502800, 4503300 industrial development. Could the Honorable Minister share the specific locations of these industrial sites? We're fully aware of it's in Moore, Latham, and in Linden, the area, the constituency which these industrial estates will be constructed. And then I have two follow-up questions.
Honorable Minister.
The industrial estates will be located at one at Amelia's Ward, which is started construction, and the other at under naming and Essequibo.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Sears.
Mr. Speaker, could the Honorable Minister share the current status update of the industrial estate at Amelia's Ward in Linden?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Amelia's Ward Industrial Estate, the land has already been cleared, and we're currently working on the roads and drains.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Sears.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Mr. Speaker, the final follow-up question for the Honorable Minister would be, could she disaggregate the allocations for the two estates?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, the Amelia's Ward is 279,763,000, and the engineer's estimate for Essequibo, it's 293,238,000.
Thank you, Minister. Before I take the Honorable Member, Mr. Mahipal, I noticed that Mr. Holder wanted to say something. He's no longer interested. Thank you. Mr. Mahipal.
Yes, sir. I'm going back to 4404200. Sir, this sum is for loans and grants. can the minister say how many persons from this 1,000 is expected to receive loans and how many are expected to receive grants? And from this 1429 that was there before, how many received loans and how many received grants? And the third question to the Honorable Minister, how many have repaid their loans? And yes, how many have repaid their loans? Or if they're still in the process of repaying?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, this number reflects they're all grants, they're not loans.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister.
Sir,
Honorable Member Mr. Mahibo.
so you see, it comes back to the books. The book is saying number of small businesses that received loans and grants. So we are depending on these texts to guide us. So if they're all grants, then the ministry ought to have said that it is the number of businesses that received grants.
Honorable Member, sometimes the headings loans and grants, but so far it's all grants. And I think the minister did said loans are facilitated, guaranteed, that are taken from private institutions. So no loans included, just all grants. Minister, if I am not clear, you can restate.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, you're absolutely correct. There are no loans at all reflected in this. They're all grants. 1,429 grants. All given.
So just for clarity, they cater for loans too. They do have that. This small business bureau, they do cater for loans.
Sorry, Minister. Go ahead.
Sir, Mrs. Chairman, it's a loan guarantee program. It's not actual loans.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Honorable members, I now put a question. Honorable member, you know, Honorable member, I gave you a chance earlier, but you were more taken up with what was before you. Honorable Chair, go ahead.
Thank you, Comrade Chairman. For 44042000 Small Business Development Fund, would the minister be kind enough to lay over to the House the 1,429 recipients of the small business grants with specific details, names, addresses, and also if there is a report, an assessment evaluating the performance of these businesses, because I assume that you're getting these grants in the development of some kind of business. So if there is a report, some kind of assessment, if she's kind enough to lay it over to the House.
Thank you. Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, with respect to laying over names of recipients, the Small Business Bureau, the Ministry of Tourism, Ministry and Commerce has a strict policy of confidentiality of client information. Therefore, identifying the names will not be provided. This is essential to protect our clients from political attacks, marketing scams, fraud, and other intrusions, and also the ethical storage of personal information and details. We cannot disclose, and will not disclose. This is essential for maintaining the trust of our clients.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Holder.
Current Chair, how then that we in this House can verify or confirm these grants were actually disbursed to these 1,429 recipients? Is there any other means of this House verifying the disbursement? Can the minister, lay over such documents?
Honorable Minister.
The Small Business Bureau, Mr. Chair, continues to be continually audited by the Auditor General. The Auditor General report will reflect that if there are any discrepancies, and we are sure that there will not be any.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable members, I now put a question. Honorable member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I don't have a question for the Honorable Minister, but I am actually standing as a representative in this House. I mean, members can heckle.
Honorable members,
But
if you
as we're
don't have a question,
considering-
I cannot allow you this time. There are many opportunities for the representatives of the people in this House to represent their constituents. At this time, we're dealing with a specific question under this particular program.
Mr. Chair, I don't have a question for the Honorable Minister, as I said. I know that
But
we're in the Committee of
that-
Supply, so can you advise me when I can address you as the Speaker to highlight some major concerns I have as an elected member
I will.
sitting in this National
I will.
Assembly?
Honorable members, I now put a question that the sum stated for Program 232, Business Development Support and Promotion, Capital Expenditure, stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. Sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, please turn to pages 154 and 155. And I propose the question that the sum stated for Agency 23, Ministry of Tourism, Industry and Commerce, Program 233, Consumer Protection, current expenditure stands part of the estimates. Honorable Member Misuse.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. 6261, local travel. If we could get an idea of the regions and areas of focus that explain the travel in this area.
Honorable Minister.
This caters for 28 planned data collection trips to 5 municipal markets in Region 3 and 4, Mahaica, Stabroek Border, Parika markets, as well as Monrepo. 6 trips, 1 each to Regions 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And also regional outreaches to caters for 8 regional outreach programs.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member Misuse.
And 6291, national and other events. If we could get an idea of the current events planned under that line item.
Honorable Minister.
The events plans, Mr. Chairman, planned are the commemoration of the World Consumer Rights Day, the fitness walk, the participating in Guy Expo, the Esupebo Agri and Trade Expo, Berbice Trade Expo, and the Rupununi Trade Expo.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable members, I now put a question that the sum stated for Program 233, Consumer Protection, current expenditure, stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated stands part of the estimates. The no was loud from one person. Honorable members, could we turn to page 503? And I propose a question that the sum stated for Agency 23, Ministry of Tourism, Industry and Commerce, Program 233, Consumer Protection, Capital Expenditure, stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, I now put a question that the sum stated for Program 233, Consumer Protection, Capital Expenditure, stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, can we turn to pages 156 and 157? Under the same agency, program 234, Tourism Development and Promotion. And I propose the question that the sum stated under this program, current expenditure, stands part of the estimates. Honorable member, Ms. Hughes.
6222, field materials and supplies. Could we get an idea of exactly what those are and what would account for the increase?
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Department of Tourism will be doing more outreaches, and this increase caters for the purchase of field materials and supplies for the department to conduct their field work in the various regions.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Hughes.
I think we know it's field supplies. What are some of those supplies?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The field supplies, life jackets, safety boots, hats, umbrellas, water bottles, 5 each, raincoats, safety helmets. For the Artichon Conference Center, there's safety helmets, safety jackets, boots and umbrellas for the staff at the Artichon Conference Center to the tune of $450,000.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Hughes.
6242, maintenance of buildings. Can you say which buildings are covered under this line item?
Honorable Minister.
That is the Artichon Conference Center, please, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Sears.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, turn our attention just a little back. Line item 6116, contracted employees. Mr. Speaker, I observe that there's a reduction of 3 contracted employees. Could the Honorable Minister share what posts have been relieved?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, driver has resigned, and a cleaner and 1 machine operator. 3 staff, they resigned.
Thank you very much, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Sears.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Could the Honorable Minister confirm if there's any addition of regional tourism development officers?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, what line item?
Just a confirmation, again, with regards to line item 6116, contracted employees, I'm just trying to confirm, okay, how many regional tourism development officers fall under contracted employees?
Mr. Chair, under this line item, none.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Sears.
Thank you. With regards to line item 6117, temporary employees, we noticed that there is an increase by 1. Could the Honorable Minister share the position or role that temporary employee will fill?
Minister.
The Chair, this caters for 1 gardener.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Sears.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Follow up on that particular line item, where will this gardener serve or function from?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the gardener will be serving the Artichon Conference Center.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable members, I now put a question that the sum stated for Program 234, Tourism Development and Promotion, current expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, pages 503 and 504. Program 234, Tourism Development and Promotion, capital expenditure. And I propose the question that the sum stated herein stands part of the estimates. Honorable member, Ms. Hughes.
1208300. What are the upgrades that are proposed for the Arthur Chung Conference Center, and does it include the audio system?
Honorable Minister, thought you were going to ask EC.
In the context of the recent assault on the Arthur Chung Conference Center, Mr. Chairman, certainly the video camera footage, more video cameras, security cameras to be installed, flagpoles, more computers. Yes. The KTV receivers, refrigerator, leaf blower, a transmitter, tracking cameras, and dining tables, and a pump, vacuum pump.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable members, I now put the question that the sum stated for Program 234, Tourism Development and Promotion, capital expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. Sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Thank you very much, Minister and your staff, for taking us through the agency, taking the exact time of 1 hour that was allocated. Honorable members, let the assembly resume. Honorable members, this is a good time to take the suspension for an hour. We'll be back in 1 hour.
Mr. Speaker?